Wednesday, December 23rd. If you haven't done your Christmas shopping, you don't have a whole lot of time left to do that. So this may be something you may be interested in today. We're going to be talking about holiday wines. And a wine is always an appropriate gift, and it lasts all year if you don't drink it up as soon as you get it. But we have Jim Coulter with us this morning. He's our wine guru here at Green Spring. And Jim, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Clint.
This is the holiday season.
Yep.
Christmas is just around the corner.
2 drinking days left until Christmas.
2 drinking days, okay. That's one way of looking at it, a very positive way. Tell us, if I wanted to get a last-minute wine for Christmas dinner, what would you recommend?
We don't have the lights on the cameras.
Well, it's a good question, and there's plenty of good answers. Off the top of my head, I would say that there are 3 or 4 things that are pretty much go-to wines for the holiday, both for Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, and birthdays for that matter. Number 1 is always sparkling wine. You got champagne from France, sparkling wines from California, Spain, Italy, South Africa, Australia. They're all made more or less in the same Méthode Champenoise style, which means that the wine is fermented in the same bottle that you buy it in. The Italians use the Charmat bulk process, which means that there's a fermentation that's done in a big pressurized tank, and then the wine is bottled. The quality of the bubbles aren't as good in that, but the price of the wine is a lot less because there's less handling required. California sparkling wines are made, most of them now are made by the French champagne houses that have opened wineries there. But names like Roederer, Taittinger, Mums, Piper Heidsieck, Piper Sonoma, they sell in the $12 to $20 range. There's a great sparkling wine that I always recommend when people are looking for something a little unusual. It's made by a French family in Albuquerque, New Mexico. It's called Gruet.
Oh, yes.
And it's $14, $15 a bottle.
I highly recommend that.
Yes, that's a great wine.
Yes.
You can get sparkling wines from South Africa. You can get them from Spain. In Spain, the label on them says cava, which is the Spanish term for cellar, but that's where the wines are aged, and that's what they call it there. Prosecco from Italy, or Spumante from Italy is a cheaper iteration of that. France also has wines, sparkling wines, not made in the Champagne region, so they can't be called champagne. Crémant de Bourgogne. Germany has Sekt, which is a sparkling wine. And the good thing about sparkling wines is that they're made with the same grapes as table wines are made from, it just that they do a secondary fermentation to give them the bubbles. So the taste profile of sparkling wines is very similar to Burgundy, or red or white Burgundy, or Chardonnay or Pinot Noir, which are the 2 major grapes. So you can use sparkling wine with just about any food. It's good because the bubbles kind of help cleanse your palate between courses. My recommendation would be to go with either Brut or extra dry. Brut is the driest of the sparkling wines, and extra dry is not as dry as Brut.
Okay.
But these are French terms, and you know the French. Other wines that are good would be Pinot Noir, which is a red wine.
Yes.
The red grapes from Pinot Noir are part of the Champagne blend. Excuse me. In France, Burgundy is the major Pinot Noir region. So Pinot Noir is known throughout the world because of the fame of Burgundy. And the Pinot Noir grapes are grown just about everywhere they grow, make wine. The other big one would be Chardonnay, which is a white grape that's used in Champagne. And again, that's the grape of Burgundy, the white Burgundy, and those are grown everywhere. Other wines that also go well with holiday meals would be Riesling, which is the German grape. And again, Riesling is grown throughout the world. You can find Rieslings made everywhere. It's tends to be a little sweeter than the Chardonnay, but it's made in, like most grapes, it's made in different styles. And if you prefer a less sweet wine, you might prefer a Chardonnay, or you might prefer a Riesling from the Pacific Northwest here in the States, where they make something called dry Riesling. Another grape that's very popular, and it's gaining in popularity, is a grape called Viognier.
Yes.
Which
and
is
that's the wine of Virginia.
It's the white wine of Virginia, and it's also widely grown in parts of France, and it's spreading more and more throughout wine growing regions in the world. It also it's a little different flavor than Chardonnay, a little bit more honey notes to it, perhaps. The advantage of all of these is that you can buy a bottle of white Burgundy for $40 or $50, or you can buy a bottle of Chardonnay or Pinot Noir or Viognier for anywhere from $4.99 up to $50. So they're widely available grapes, make a lot of wine at different price points. So depending on whether you're having people come to your house and you want to make a good impression, or you're going to the in-laws and you just want to take a bottle of wine so you'll have something to drink and you don't have to listen to, what's his name, talk all during dinner. I didn't invite you to my house dinner. But no, that's the beauty of wine, is it's if people drink, it's a good gift to give any time of the year. If you're going to a party and somebody says, BYOB or whatever, you can take something that's good enough that you'll drink it, but it's not so good that you go in debt and everybody else drinks up your good wine. So that's the basic parameters that I would tell somebody if they don't know a lot about wine. Go with one of the generic go-to wines for that.
And realistically, probably a price point would be somewhere between $12 and $14.
I would say depending on how much you want to spend. I mean, if the in-laws are coming to your house and it's the first time and you want to make a good first impression, then you might want to go with something a little better, especially if you know that they like wine. If they don't like wine, maybe you want to go with beer or Coke or something. But no, it's all about what you can afford and what you want. I have a basic rule here where if people say our group is getting together in the Jefferson dining room or the fireside dining room for dinner, what kind of wine should I take? I usually tell them to go to Trader Joe's. And I recommend Trader Joe's because Green Spring runs a shuttle bus that stops there. They have a good selection of wines, but it's rather limited in scope, so you're not in awe of this giant Costco-sized building all full of wine.
And you're not overwhelmed with it.
That's right. You got reasonably sized sections that are labeled by the wine types, so you can go there and you can, come out with a bag with 4 or 5 bottles of wine in it that you can easily handle on and off the bus. So I like that, and most of their wines are priced in the $5 to $10 price range, so you're not going to be paying an exorbitant amount of money. I will make one recommendation for the holiday season. Right now, Trader Joe's is selling a sparkling wine from California. It's called RSVP, which is the French term for please respond away. The good thing about it is it's a very nice wine made in the California sparkling wine style, and they're selling it for $5.99 a bottle. So if you want to have 10 or 11 of your closest friends over for a party at the end of the year, you can pick up a case of that stuff for about $70, and hopefully you'll have several bottles left over you can enjoy for yourself. So
that's an excellent price for RSVP.
It's very good. It's about half the price of most California sparkling wines, and it's very good quality. It's sort of somewhere between dry and slightly sweet, but it's not too sweet. It's my go-to wine anytime I'm going to the dining room and want something a little special for dinner. Why, I'll take a bottle of that.
That's an excellent price and an excellent suggestion.
Yeah.
So people can just go and check out what's out there.
Yeah.
I mean, everything is available within our area between Trader Joe's and Total. I mean, we have a complete...
and if you're a Costco member, Costco has very good wines at their place. They're a little bit pricier, but the quality is a little bit better than
Right.
Trader Joe's. And for special occasion or something like that, you know, you can't go wrong with that either.
Okay. So we go out, we buy a bottle of wine. Got to open it.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah. Okay. And I see you've brought some.
Yeah, I brought along some samples of some things that I think are good Christmas, birthday gifts, stocking stuffers at Christmas. But the beauty of wine, as you mentioned, is it's a gift you can give year round to somebody who drinks wine and appreciates wine. And if you have kids, grandkids, in-laws, friends, council members you want to impress, gifts are always appreciated.
Sure.
If they're a wine drinker, they never have enough, you know, junk and tchotchkes in their drawer to find when they want to do something. So in no particular order, I'll go through some of the things I've brought.
Okay.
And if the cameraman can get in on my hands here, I'll keep going back and forth. This is something called a Scruple wine opener. Now the advantage of this is that it's easy to use with one exception. Now I'll show you the idea behind this. It's a lever operated piece of equipment. What you do is you open it and then hold it over the top of the bottle, and then you just bring this over, and that drives the screw down into the cork. You take the foil off first, but drives the screw down into the cork, and then you hold the clamp and lift it up, and the lever does all of the work. Now the disadvantage to this is that if you got this sitting up on a counter in a kitchen, then you've got to get up on top to pull this, and that's why you usually get your husband to do it, because he's a foot taller than you are, as you and I would. But this is nice. It's they have them in different brands. This one's called the Speed Pull Decorker. It's basically the same theory behind it. They've got big versions of these that they use in wineries and bars. That's a giant cylinder that they put the bottle underneath of it, and then the guy moves this thing back and forth with a longer lever, as Archimedes points out. The longer lever works better, and it's easy to use.
And one of them's called the Rabbit.
Yeah, the Rabbit. There's so many names now, but a similar one of these that's a lot less expensive is old technology.
Yes.
This is something called the French waiter corkscrew. It's, as you can see, it's small, compact. You can put it in your pocket or stick it in the bag you carry your wine to the dining room with. You open up the front arm and fold down the corkscrew, and then you just take this and screw it into the cork.
Into the center of the cork, preferably.
Into the center of the cork. Then you fold down this thing, which has two notches on it. You fold it down to the first notch, and then you lift up on the lever, and the cork comes halfway out. Then you go back to the second one, and it pulls the cork the rest of the way out. And this takes a very short pull, and you have the advantage of the fulcrum here to do around it, and you got two increments to hook on the edge of the bottle. It's much easier to use if you're working on top of a counter. And because you control how easy the pull is, you can do it between your knees or on the table when you're standing up or something like that. It's handy. It's nice when you're driving in wine country, as my wife and I often used to do. You throw one of these in the glove compartment, and then you have no trouble opening bottles of wine beside the road.
And when you're talking about, when you're talking about the notches, you're talking about the first notch being the notch closest to the fulcrum. Closest to
the shorter part of the arm.
And the second one being the furthest down at the end, in regards to it. But it really is lightweight. You can stick it in your pocket.
And they also come with a handy little blade that you can fold out that you can use for cutting the foil. Now, a fallback to that, something else you often find in the glove compartment of my car, is something that's found in many hotels and motels around wine country especially. It's a little plastic corkscrew that you just pull the inside out, and then the handle goes through here, and you've got a handy little corkscrew you can use.
Right.
And then you can have your wife hold it between her knees in the back seat while she tries to pull a cork out so you don't get any wine on your clothes. It's not very easy to use, and it's a little awkward, but it is pocket size and very handy.
And you do have to have strength in order to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have anything to push against.
There's not much to work.
Right.
Something else that is an inexpensive gift is a foil cutter. This is one kind. Basically, the idea is it's little sharp blades inside a handle, and you just put it on top of the thing, squeeze it, and give it a couple of twists, and it'll cut the foil off the top. That way you don't have any jagged edges sticking up. And
you don't have to worry about any of the foil dropping into the wine.
Falling inside of things. Another one is another old-fashioned kind. It's called the asso. It's basically a handle with two prongs on it. One is a little bit longer than the other. Mm-hmm. And these, once you cut the foil off, you can just work these down between the edge of the bottle and the cork, and then you turn it to loosen the cork and then sort of pull up as you're turning, and these will bite into the edge of the cork, and you can pull the cork out that way. It has one real good advantage, and that is that it doesn't poke holes in the middle of the cork. So if you want to recork your wine and lay it down in the refrigerator, it's far less likely to leak.
The negative to that is the fact, again, you have to have strength in order to use it.
Yeah, well, it does. You don't need a lot of strength because basically using the turning and pulling motion. But yeah, it's because as the longer wine sits in a bottle, it tends to form a seal around the cork that needs to be broken to get it loosened up. Now, once you get the wine open, then you're going to pour it out. Now, you can just pour it into glass, give it a little turn as you finish, and hopefully the wine won't drip all over the nice white tablecloths in our signature dining spots. But there are some options for that. Mm-hmm. One is there's clear plastic wine pourers that you can buy. This one is my wife's particular favorite because it's got, you probably can't see it even maybe on close-up, but it's got two pieces of plastic here with a gap in between. The bottom one is a little bit longer. So when you pour the wine, it goes into the glass, and then as you tip it back up, instead of the drop of wine hanging here and falling on the tablecloth,
it
hangs on the second one and then falls between the two back into the bottle. So
which is a really nice concept.
You end up if it's your tablecloth, your wife is very happy that you do that. Here's another handy item, which is very nice. It's also great for wine tastings. This is a wine pourer that's got a couple of metal balls inside. You may be able to hear them rattling around in there. And what you do is you push this down into the neck of the bottle once you've opened it. And as you pour the wine, the metal balls in the neck of this will close up and stop it pouring. And you can get these where they have these have a compartment between the neck and the bottom ball that holds this one, in this case, 1 ounce of wine. You can get these in 1.5 and 2 and maybe 2.5. I'm not sure. But if you're tasting wine like with the wine group, why you can pour everybody a 1 ounce pour of wine, and they all get to taste it because there's 26 ounces in a bottle, and if you got 12 people and everybody gets 2 ounces, that's a whole bottle of wine. If you give them one, then there's a bottle left, and if some people don't like it, you don't have to waste another ounce on them. So it's handy. It's not great for parties unless it's an office party. And you're the boss, and you're buying. You tell them it's an open bar. Then they use these in bars too, because the bartenders are supposed to pour a 2 ounce shot. So the owners like to make sure that they're only pouring a 2 ounce shot for their friends.
But it's an excellent way to control the amount of wine that you pour at a time.
And if you're serving people at a party and you don't want them driving home drunk, it's a good way to make them have to go back to the bar more often and walk past the cheese and cracker tables and fill up on that. This one is one of my personal favorites. Again, it's so simple. It's a little plastic silver disc, and basically what you do is you open the bottle of wine, then you just roll this up in like a flute, stick it into the bottle of wine, and it opens up inside and forms a nice pouring spout. And then when you're done, you just take it out, run it under the faucet to clean it, throw it back in the drawer, and it's ready for the next time.
What a neat concept.
And all of these pours and stuff, I mean, this silver disc here is, I think it's like $4 or $5 for 6 of them. And if they come with the name of a winery or a wine on them, they're either more or less expensive depending on what the name of the winery is. But then we get to the last part of the day, which is the part that I am most unfamiliar with. What do you do if you have a bottle of wine with some wine left in it?
Yeah, you are unfamiliar with that, right?
There are a couple of ways. One is you can stick the cork back in it and put it in the refrigerator and take it out the next day and finish it. There are other things you can do. Is there's I forget what they call this thing, not had so long, but basically it's a pump with little rubber stoppers with a slit in the top of the stopper. Right. You put the stopper down inside the bottle, then you put this over it, and you pump the wine out of the air out of the bottle.
Right.
And
leave the wine in, pump the air out.
After 8 or 10 of those, the air pressure seals this little rubber stopper shut, and that's supposed to keep your wine fresh. It's the same thing as pumping nitrogen in it, but this is like $10, and the thing to pump nitrogen in is $300.
Yeah.
So this is
much more economical.
Yeah, I mean, if you got an $800 bottle of wine, probably spending $300 to keep it preserved is not a bad idea. This is very handy. Then, if it's a sparkling wine, however, the sparkling wine doesn't take too well to that because of the carbonation in the bubbles. But they have invented a champagne stopper, which is basically this. It's a top with wings that you pull out. It's got a spring-mounted rubber gasket here that you put down over the top into the champagne bottle. Then you push down to depress the spring, and then fold the wings back down under that giant lip around the top of the champagne bottle. That'll keep champagne fresh for a couple of days. As long as the spring is still good, it won't leak. Another trick you can use to keep champagne fresh if you don't want to spend all that money is just take some saran wrap and put it over the top, and take a rubber band and put around it nice and tight. That'll form a more or less airtight seal. Even if you don't do anything, you just put the open bottle of champagne in your refrigerator, there'll still be some fizzy bubbles in the wine, but most of the carbonation will have evaporated out.
But the real thing is, in order to save wine, that you need to get the air out of it and keep the wine
fresh. Yeah. But probably the easiest and best solution to gift giving is, of course, people may already have one of these, but there's a magazine called the Wine Spectator, which has good articles, comes out every 2 weeks. So a year subscription to this would be 26 issues. Has reviews of wines with numerical ratings, has food and travel articles about visiting wine regions, taste tests on wines, and also has a link to websites that where you can go download their score sheets and information and so forth. The one I'm holding up has a good article in it, just investigative reporting that they did on the FBI arresting a wine forger. A guy was counterfeiting wine, putting cheap wine in bottles and then making them look old and expensive and selling them at auction and ripping people off. It's very interesting. Even if you don't drink wine, but if you used to and you can't anymore for medical reasons, or you're interested in it, a lot of good information in here. You can pick these up for $5.95, I think it is, at wine stores. But a subscription is better, and if you got friends or relatives you want to gift to, if just checking if they don't have a subscription already, you can give them one. Then they can read it for a year and decide whether they want it.
And there's a lot of really good knowledge in there.
Yeah.
I mean, information
Yeah.
to share and to learn
and
about.
some of it's just fun reading. They have there are letters to the editor in there with people with questions.
Yeah.
All of the stuff I showed you here today should be available at most wine stores.
Okay.
A lot of the things are available at kitchen stores like Williams-Sonoma, and so we're nowadays there's probably a lot, especially this time of year. There's a lot of the stuff probably at Kmart and Walmart.
Right,
A lot of,
right.
especially the Scruple and things like that. All those things are made all over the world these days.
And there's something you may can get at the last minute.
Yeah,
You know.
you can pick it up. You use the Green Spring shuttle to go shopping, and there also are a lot of mail order houses that these gift catalogs come out. A lot of this wine paraphernalia is available through there too.
Okay. You mentioned wine stores, and everybody that buys wine here, I'm sure, has heard about Trader Joe's and Total. Very convenient for us to get to. What are some of the other local wine stores people may want to go to?
Oh, that's a good question. I wish I had an answer at the tip of my tongue. For the people who subscribe to the Washington Post, every Wednesday there's a wine article in the Washington Post food section, and part of that is his recommendations for different wines, and part of that is he gives you the names of the stores in Virginia, the district, and Maryland to go to. My only problem with it is, or I guess the good thing for him is, they're not always the same stores. So at one point, every time I would read that, I would jot down the names of the stores in Arlington and Alexandria and so forth. You can get that online if you have a computer and you want to go to WashingtonPost.com, I think it is. Or you can just wait until your neighbors throw out their Wednesday Washington Post and go rummage around in the food section and get that. But there, or you could look in the phone book if you still have old technology. You could look at the phone book. Otherwise, you'd have to use your reasonably smart phone.
But there is a lot of information out there that's
there
available if people want to look for it.
And the good thing about living where we do is that both Trader Joe's and Total, and I'm pretty sure probably most of the wine stores around here hold wine tastings. I know Trader Joe's, sometimes I've been over there, they have a table set up with 4 or 5 wines. They're pouring a little cup for you. I know I think Total does it on Saturdays, but I don't know for sure. But you can find out by calling them or just stopping by the store. They usually have a big sign up that says free wine tasting. And there's no substitute for tasting wines to help you decide what kind of wines you like or don't like, and give you an idea for maybe, because usually what they'll be doing is they'll be tasting a Cabernet Sauvignon, a Merlot, a Chardonnay, a Riesling, or something like that. Or they may be tasting 3 different Merlots from different regions or from different wineries, because every winery puts their own little individual stamp on their style of wine, and sometimes you don't like a Merlot from here, but you love a Merlot from there. And I may disagree with you on both of those, but I'd probably drink them both anyway. But it's all a matter of your individual taste. And some people's taste buds are more acute, and some people's are less, and some perceive different taste elements differently than other people.
Okay. Well, Jim, you have provided a lot of information, a lot of suggestions and ideas for the holidays and for holiday wines and all the paraphernalia that you can use in regards to it. And we say thank you. Very much.
You're welcome. If the pay weren't so good, I wouldn't be doing this for you.
Well, I hope everybody's learned something, though, this morning. I mean, and we appreciate your free advice.
Yeah, it's worth what you pay for it.
Yeah, there you go, in regards to it. But, folks, you do have from now until Friday to shop and get those last-minute items that you want to give this holiday season. And don't run away.